and then admit everyone. All right. So good afternoon, everyone who is here. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here this afternoon. And the very first thing that I want to do with this week in all of our programs is congratulate everybody as you're approaching graduation in less than a month. So it's such an exciting time. So we're continuing our senior week career programming today with Backpack to Briefcase, making a successful transition into the workplace. And today we have Haley Centrella and Andrew Bull from ALCU. So this presentation will be recorded and available on our YouTube channel after its completion. If anybody has any questions while we're going through the live version of this program, please put it in the chat and I will be monitoring that throughout. But otherwise, I will hand it over to Haley and Andrew.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lauren, for the great introduction and for inviting us here today and putting this all together. I know a lot of work must go into the logistics and planning for this. I know that we spoke back in February, so we are very excited to be here today. Hi, Josh and Georgia. Nice to see your names on here. If you guys at all want to turn your cameras on and unmute yourselves, feel free to, but I understand if you're not able to. So I'm going to start sharing my screen in a minute here, but if you guys don't mind just filling out this quick link if you're interested, that way maybe I can send you some swag afterwards for attending today. So feel free to, use the chat box, unmute yourselves. We're definitely super conversational people. So don't be afraid, to unmute yourself, join in on the convo or interrupt us. We love hearing other voices. So I'll start sharing my screen here and we'll get rocking and rolling. Can we see it okay? Awesome. Oh, we got one more in the waiting room. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for popping in, and to whoever's viewing this afterwards. We're hoping that, you find this interesting and helpful for the future. Congratulations on making it all the way, to the end here. You're finally at the light at the end of the tunnel. I know that this past year has definitely been something that none of us could imagine, especially, during our final years of college. So kudos to you guys for pushing through, rolling with the punches. It shows so much adaptability, especially to employers. And, we can't wait to hire people that were able to successfully go through college and this whole thing, and come out of it on the other side and be positive. So we're excited to dive in today. We are going to be covering Backpack to Briefcase. So I had to bring along a wonderful colleague of mine. But first, we wanted to tell you a little bit about ALCU. So my name is Haley Centrella. I'm from right outside of Boston, Mass. I went to a small liberal arts school, actually in Keene, New Hampshire, where I studied business management and communications. I met ALCU during my senior year at a career fair, before I ventured off to work in Italy with sales and travel for 2 years. So upon my return to America, I knew exactly the first company I was going to call would be ALCU, and I'm here today, so I'm very thankful for that. As one of ALCU's college relationship specialists on the talent acquisition team, I attend virtual and hopefully in the future on-campus events. I host events to help build ALCU's brand on college campuses across the country, and I'm responsible for planning, executing, attending events with different student organizations, academic programs, in hopes to find the next best people, like maybe Joss or Georgia, to join the ALCU. So I started remotely with the company last year in July, which definitely brings a little bit of a different perspective. So today I wanted to bring along another wonderful member of the ALCU, someone who definitely has a lot more experience working in person, but I will let him introduce himself, Mr. Andrew Bull.
Thanks, Haley. Appreciate that. And yeah, my name is Andrew Bull. I've been with ALCU, it'll be actually 10 years in June. First job I had out of school, and have been there ever since. I attended UMass Amherst in Massachusetts. Yeah, I mean, I'm really at this point, I'm in charge of two revenue brands within the company. The first is our life sciences brand, and the second is our government solutions brand in Virginia. And I'm also, as a senior VP, somebody that's in charge and responsible for, strategic direction and goal setting for the company as a whole. So, yeah, that's sort of my very brief snapshot for those of you who are on the call and those of you who are listening later.
Awesome. Yeah, we're going to dive in a little bit more to Andrew's journey with Alku and some exciting stuff there. So I will jump on to the next slide if it loads for me. 1 minute here. All right. So the Alku T, before we dove in and gave you guys a little bit more of a rundown on transitioning and listening to Andrew's story, I wanted to make sure that we had a little bit of an idea of what Alku is. So Alku is a highly specialized staffing firm. We do primarily hire students that are interested in sales. However, with that being said, we truly hire based on character trait. We're typically looking for outgoing, hardworking, competitive, even reward-driven individuals to come join our teams. And we know that these are attributes that will lead to a successful career in general, but definitely with sales here at Alku. We have 4 main offices, as you can see on the map here. Andrew and I are located right outside of Boston, Mass. In our headquarters. We also have an office right outside of DC in Herndon, Charlotte, North Carolina, and one right outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and Franklin. So some pretty desirable locations to live after college, if you ask me. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those places there, besides maybe Boston because it's cold up here today, but just kidding, that's our headquarters, so it's the best place to be. We have 3 mini Alkus as well, which is great. So those are our regional training centers. This gives us the ability to train and develop students that are interning right on campus. So we have those actually in UMass, where Andrew Bull went, James Madison University, as well as University of New Hampshire. And we're always looking for more. So who knows, maybe one will pop up on Penn State's campus within the next few years. Something that definitely won me over during my job hunt was the culture here at Alku. The culture at Alku is have fun working hard. I know that at first it might sound a little bit cliche, but let me tell you guys, we live and breathe by this statement so far that we even have it trademarked. Alongside fostering a strong work ethic, we think it's important you can bring, your sense of humor and making sure that we're personally developing and setting clear expectations. So if you're looking to jumpstart your professional career, make money and have fun doing it, Alku can definitely be a place for you. Does anyone have any questions on kind of what we do here? I know I'm not going too in depth on that because we could end up sitting here for hours talking about what Alku does. But basically staffing, highly specialized staffing firm. And simply put words, we are the matchmakers pretty much between really highly specialized consultants and companies who have a need for them, but can't seem to find them. So we come together and we make deals that way. That's a very simply put explanation there, but just wanted to give you guys a better idea before we dove in a little. What Alku can offer you. So if you are on the job hunt right now, definitely fill out that link that I dropped in the chat here. But we are, we have a corporate team, which I am on under talent acquisition. At the moment, we do not have any open corporate roles, but there are some opening up as we speak. So keep an eye out for that. Our revenue team, this is our everything, our sales divisions. We are actively hiring for both our sales internship program as well as our inside sales rep position. Career growth at Alku is huge. I mean, you're going to hear that firsthand from Andrew Bull. But even, in my experience being here with a few months, I feel that as if I've grown so much personally and both professionally, not only just my networks, but public speaking and organization and, just dealing and working with people has been such a great experience. The perks are absolutely amazing. I know that it definitely won me over when I was getting my offer and, even things such as VTO. I don't know if anyone's heard of VTO at all, but I hadn't in the past. Volunteer time off. Alku actually encourages its employees to take some paid time off and, go volunteer for something that they're passionate about. So for me, that showed and spoke volumes. But this is just a little bit about what Alku can offer you. And if you have any more questions about that, feel free to throw them in the chat or email me. And I'll put my email right in here. One second here. So we came here to talk to you guys about backpack to briefcase. When Lauren and I were discussing this topic, the first person that came to my head was Mr. Andrew Bull. So I knew I had to reach out to him and get him on here with me today. There is no one better to speak to their journey than our first ever intern and now senior vice president. So I'll pass it over to Andrew to tell you guys more about his journey. And please feel free to throw any questions or comments that you have in the chat box here.
Yeah, thanks, Haley. And please, anybody who's on the call, feel free to interrupt, like Haley just said, with questions or comments. Happy to answer those at any time. Actually, was just thinking about the whole backpack to briefcase concept, and it's funny. I don't think I've ever had a briefcase, but I've certainly gotten a backpack from Alku. So I actually, when I went into the office yesterday, I brought my backpack in. So
we're still backpacking.
Yeah, we can call this from backpack to backpack, but I will jump into my story. So yeah, I was Alku's first ever intern, and sort of by accident, really. We actually didn't even have an internship program when I was interviewing for a full-time position with Alku back in 2010. I was still a senior at UMass, and I had gone through a couple of rounds of interviews, and really, I really liked the company. I liked the people that I interviewed with, and I wanted an opportunity, but I think they weren't really sold on me. But I was persistent. I called back a few different times. I made sure to speak with the people that I interviewed with multiple times, even before they gave me an offer. And eventually they were like, all right, Andrew's bugging us enough. Let's just give him an internship and see how he does. So that's how I became the first ever Alku intern. And luckily I was able to impress them enough. I worked really hard as an intern trying to prove myself, and I was given a full-time opportunity as a recruiter in 2011 to start with Alku full-time. So I started my career full-time as a recruiter. I did that for about a year, and I had some success in that role, and I had an opportunity to move over to the account management or the sales side of the desk. And Haley described what we do, right? We're a staffing company, and we match high-level consultants with companies that are looking for these people. And as a recruiter, you're trying to find the consultants, and as an account manager, you're trying to find the companies that are looking for the consultants. So I went from looking for the consultants to looking
the
for
other
the
side.
Yeah.
What was
So
the division at the time, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, it's so when I was recruiting in the technologies division,
Wow.
which right now is comprised of a whole bunch of different IT divisions, right? But at the time in 2011, we were just known as the technologies division.
So funny.
Yeah, so when I started in sales as an account manager in 2012, that was actually an opportunity for me to jump into a brand new division within the company, the life sciences division. So I was selling in basically a new brand or a new revenue stream within the company that we didn't really know a whole lot about. We had just started getting it off the ground, and I had an opportunity as an account manager to help with that. And myself and another recruiter were able to grow that division quite a bit over a couple of years. So it got to the point where we had enough revenue coming in for this new division that my boss came to me and said, Andrew, we're really going to need to hire some more salespeople, and we think you could potentially train them and get them up to speed and help teach them the job. So that's how I fell into leadership and management within LQ, is that the group that I was working in got big enough that we needed to hire more people. So I had an opportunity to train them, to work with them, to show them the ropes. And I found that that was really rewarding and fun and exciting. And although I loved, closing my own deals and, working on my own book of business, I actually found that I liked helping others do it even more. So over time, that brand continued to grow, right? That life sciences brand continued to grow. And it got to the point where my boss said, well, geez, Andrew, your division's so big now that not only do we need you helping to train some new account managers that are coming in, we actually think you might be ready to train some people on how to do that. So like, you're going to train the managers,
train the trainers,
to train the people that are coming in and help develop the management team underneath you. So that's how I got to not only manager, but then eventually director. And then at one point, I had an opportunity to help out and oversee the government division down in Herndon, Virginia, because there was an opening on the sales side in leadership. And I took advantage of that. And, there was a lot of travel involved. I went back and forth from Massachusetts to Herndon for, the better part of 2 years, and worked with that leadership team to hire new people, get them up to speed, continue to grow that brand. And because of that opportunity and experience, there came a point where I got an opportunity to be promoted to vice president, and that was in 2019. And because the company has continued to grow and we've hired more people and the management team has gotten bigger, they decided to give me a senior vice president title in 2021.
We'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it for sure. So that's my journey from 2011 to 2021 in SparkNote's version. But I don't know if there's any questions or thoughts or comments. I'm happy to answer anything. I know I covered a lot, so anything at all.
I have one question for you. Do you remember how many people were here when you started?
So yeah, it was about 16 employees. When I interned, it was more like 8, or 8 or 9. By the time I started full time, about 6 months later, it was about 16 or 17.
That is amazing. And now we're over 300. So
yeah.
You've definitely been part of that growth. Thank you so much for sharing that. I loved hearing your story. Awesome. Anyone have any questions at all? You can feel free to throw them in the chat.
I have a quick question, Andrew, if you wouldn't mind. I'm just curious as to what you feel like, if there was a common thing that you did to allow yourself to rise up through the organization as you kind of got your feet out from under you.
Yeah, so it's a good question. And people have been asking me this lately, and I hadn't really thought about it much until, like you said, like you just asked, right? That question's come up. So, like when I was an intern and even a recruiter, or even when I moved into account management in 2012, I didn't think to myself, oh, I can't wait until I'm senior vice president in 2021. Like that, I've got my eyes set on that target. That's not, I've never thought that way. And really, I think that's been to my advantage. And the way that I've thought about every position that I've had at the company has been, how can I be as good as I possibly can be and work as hard as I possibly can at this particular position, without taking my eyes off of what I'm supposed to be doing now and looking ahead, right? It's like you have to find a little bit of a balance. You certainly want to let your boss and your mentors know that, hey, I want more, and if you see more for me, I'll take it. And I want more opportunity and I want to grow. But the best way is to lead by example and to try to do the position that you're in as best you possibly can. I do see some people make the mistake of, oh, I just got into this new role and now I'm just thinking about the next thing, right? Like I'm not going to focus on what I need to do in this role. I'm just going to focus on what I need to do for the next role, even though you're not in that position yet. So
Yeah.
hopefully that makes sense, Lauren. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's what's helping me.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really helpful. Thank you.
Sure.
That was awesome. Awesome. And now we're going to transition a little bit here to kind of what Andrew expected versus the reality of it. So I had to throw this photo on here just because you could see how beautiful he's aged over 10 years. I mean, I wish that I looked like that 10 years ago, but I wanted to put this up here, just to get you guys excited and see this. But I wanted him to speak a little bit about kind of what he expected, what the reality of was it. And, expectations are different all the time. So I'll pass it over to Andrew.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Haley. I think, I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest. Before I started at Alcu, before I started my professional career, I really didn't know what to expect. And I will say one of the things that helped me the most to understand what was expected of me when I started was I had really good mentors and bosses within the organization. So that was huge. That really helped me set my path and set my focus and work really hard in the right areas. But if you are a senior today and you're in school and you're thinking about, gosh, what am I going to be good at? What am I, what should I expect when I get into the corporate world? One of the things I would think about is, or I'd give to you is, don't be worried that, don't feel as though you need to be the smartest person or have the best grades, right, to be successful in a company once you launch into the corporate world. It's those who work the hardest, it's those who care the most, it's those who focus the most, and it's those who are really good at interacting with other people that wind up having a lot of success. So it sounds simple, and it really is. I think sometimes we try to overcomplicate what we need to do and prepare for when we get into the corporate world. And really, if you're a good person who's willing to work hard and you like to work with others, the chances are you're going to be really successful. So I hope that's helpful. Like I said, I didn't know exactly what to expect, but having great mentors and great managers is also absolutely key. And as you're interviewing and going out for different positions at different companies, pay close attention to those you're interviewing with, and really think to yourself, could I work with this person? Could I work with this group of people that I've been interviewing with? Does this company seem like an exciting place to be that I could really grow? And it doesn't matter so much what the industry is or what the job is. It matters a lot more about the group of people and the company that you're going to be entering. So I hope I'm answering the question.
That's my biggest tip of advice to students all the time. And I think I actually struggled with that. I was really, during my job hunt, I was looking for a job title. I just wanted a marketing coordinator title. And I wasn't allowing myself to, explore different options, but I wasn't even really looking too deep into the companies that I was applying for because I was looking for those job titles. And then I'd find myself in an interview with, people that maybe weren't super happy with their jobs or, not even excited to be there a little bit. And I realized, this isn't a home for me. This isn't a place where I will thrive. And I really sat down and reflected. And I think all of us can do this, even if you have found a job for after senior year. But I think we can all sit down and reflect on what is really important to us and what helps us succeed. For me, it's being around a great group of people who motivate me, who support me, and that I feel comfortable with. And that's something that, it was hard to find until I found Alcu. But I mean, I started remotely as well, and I've been welcomed here with open arms. So that was something super important to me. But making sure, that you're looking for those things.
Absolutely. And Josh, I see that you asked the question about starting right out of school. I did. Haley, I think.
Yeah, my story's a little different, Josh. Thanks for asking. So I went to a liberal arts school in New Hampshire, studied business management, communications. I grew up traveling back and forth to Italy a lot. My family lives there still. So of course I studied abroad to hit my language requirement for my communications degree. So I actually moved abroad to Italy and lived there for a year and a half post-college. But I met Alku at the career fair. So I saved their stuff in a folder and I came home and I started looking at different companies. And, after living in Italy and having the best years of my life and having so much fun, I knew that finding a company that the people had energy and they liked to, have a good time. And it wasn't super, let's just do this and like a team. I wanted to be part of a team, like a big team, be part of something bigger. And I was interviewing at companies that I thought were the cool thing, bigger companies or different names that I had noticed. And I wasn't a fit. I was like, okay, I could do this job. I could accept it, but I'm not like 100% excited about it. And that's when I went back to my career fair folder and I found Alku and I knew right away that was it. And I started actually 2 years post-college. So don't worry. Alku is actually the only company at the career fair that said to me, other companies were, I said, I already have a job in Italy lined up, but I just wanted to come scope out, what you had to offer. And a lot of other companies said to me, well, you should really consider staying home and jumping right into your career because you might not ever get hired once you go away. And I said, okay, well, I'm still going to give it a shot anyways. But Alku was the first company to say to me at that fair, call us when you get back. That sounds like a wonderful experience. So that's kind of my story on how I started with Alku, but I've been here a little over almost 10 months now, which is crazy. It feels like time's flying by, but I also feel like I've, been here for 2 weeks. So it's amazing, but definitely a little different from Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, and the next question I inevitably get after Josh, your question is, did you know you wanted to get into staffing? Were you looking for recruiting out of school? And the answer for me and for most people actually at the company is no. Right?
I never expected I would work at a staffing firm.
Yeah. You think staffing, you're like, wait, headhunting? What is that? Yeah. I actually didn't even know what it was. I just knew I wanted to be here because the people that I interviewed with said it was rewarding, competitive. We have fun, but we work hard, right? And the people
and it was genuine too, right, Andrew? Genuine,
yeah. And it seemed like everybody that I interviewed with was excited and they wanted to create something great, and I wanted to be a part of that. So I didn't really care what the industry was. I just wanted to work with the people that I spoke with. So that's why I wound up at Alku.
I love that. And, even when I was interviewing guys, I wasn't interviewing for the position I'm in now. So that just speaks a lot. I was actually interviewing first for a marketing role, then for a benefits role. And that's when I met my manager. And she asked me, about my passion and my experience. And I was able to start in this position. So there are companies out there that when they know you're a fit, they want to make it work for you as well. So don't give up hope. There are companies out there that you can wake up every morning and be happy. I know that was my biggest fear in college, was sitting there and thinking, oh my gosh, I'm never going to work, a full-time role and be excited for it. And man, was I wrong. And I'm lucky that, I'm happy to wake up in the morning and come to work, even if it's in my room for now. Awesome. Thank you, Josh, for asking that. We're going to dive into a little more tips and tricks here. But I just wanted to go over this slide on setting yourself up for success. I know, many of the things here seem like common sense, but they're not. So making sure that you're looking for an internship. It doesn't have to be your dream job. I think an internship is more of a learning experience. I learned through my internship in college that was something I was good at, but not something I wanted to do forever. but it also gave me insight on the things that I did like about it. So just making sure you're getting out there. It doesn't matter how early. I think a lot of students say, I'll wait till senior year. Here at ALCU, we hire interns from freshman year on. It doesn't matter, what year you are. If you want to start building your book of business and, hit the ground running, we want to help you do that. So keeping an eye out, always making connections, and, really looking for different opportunities, whether that be through your career fairs or, reaching out to Lauren. But look for an internship. It will give you a lot of great experience. And if it doesn't, then you're going to learn what you don't like about it. Sell your skills, not your major. I'm sorry, I saw you on mute, Andrew.
I was just going to chime in. I noticed Josh had a question that we might.
I can't see because I'm sharing my screen, so thank you for monitoring.
I'll read it just so you hear it, Haley. But Josh is wondering, do most of the people that we employ have sales degrees? He's a poli-sci major. He has some recruitment experience at the Census Bureau. And the answer, Josh, is no. We hire people with all kinds of degrees, all kinds of majors. I was a finance and ops major.
We have biochemistry majors.
Yeah.
We have our CEO was a literature major. It really doesn't matter what your major is. That's why we hire based on character trait, because we can train anyone on the lingo, what ALCU is, what we do, but we can't train someone on hard work, on being outgoing, on being, dedicated and reward driven. And those are things that are soft skills that you develop over the years. So that's why, we don't hire based on the major there. But when we're saying selling your skills, not your major, this is huge, guys. I know that, with things changing in the world around us and technology being a huge force, a lot of the times the things that are going to set you apart in an interview are your soft skills, your ability to stand out, your ability to empathize, listen, hold conversations. These are all really important things, and make sure that you're selling that, not just your major. I love when I get on a career fair and I have a student come on and give me their little pitch, and they start with, my name is Haley. I am, super passionate about this, this, and that, rather than, my name's Haley. I'm a business major. Don't identify, don't only identify as that. Of course, you want to tell people about your major. It's important and you've learned so much about it, but just making sure that, you're selling the skills that you have to whoever you're interviewing with, networking with in the future. Professionalism is key as well, both in a virtual setting as well as in person. I think a lot of the time, being virtual, we kind of underestimate this, but making sure that we're having a strong virtual presence, not being too close to the camera, not showing up late to Zoom meetings, things like that are just super important, especially when you're trying to set yourself up for success. Be professional with your professors. Start writing out, have a signature in your email. It looks great when a student emails me and I see that they have their own signature already created with their information. I think that looks awesome. It's just a way to really stand out against the rest. So putting your professionalism out there, but also not being a robot, I think is important. Sometimes we might forget to be human and think that professionalism means using all periods all the time, but that's not what we mean here. We mean professionalism through networking, being a good coworker, listening, being a good teammate, whether that be in your classes right now or in the future. It's great to get ahead on that. Something else we added in here that Andrew wanted to touch on, which I'll pass it over to him, was have a job during school. And he brought this up to me when we were going through the presentation, and we realized how important that is.
Yeah, thanks, Haley. I just think that, I had a job for 3 out of the 4 years. So my sophomore year on at school, and I wish I had done it all 4 years. It just, I was actually calling for donations. I worked at the annual fund for UMass. It just taught me so much about building rapport with people on the phone that I had never spoken to before. It probably helped me. It definitely helped me a lot for this job that I currently have and working in staffing. I didn't really know it at the time, but it helped. And doesn't mean you have to go get a fundraising job at school, but I think having a job during school, it teaches you a lot of real world, not only business, but like just how to interact with people in an organization and how to have a role and how to have play a part within a company. It doesn't matter how big or small that organization or company is. I think you'll learn a lot. I think I notice that students are so laser focused on getting that internship for the summer or for the winter, and they forget about having a job during school. And when I interview potential candidates for Alcu, I always look, were they working while they were at school? Because you can get away with saying, my class load and I've got so many other things going on, and everybody will let you have that excuse and nobody will say, well, why didn't you have a job during school, right? You can get away with not doing it. But to still go out and get one and do that, I think shows initiative, and I think it shows work ethic. So that's what it shows the employer. And for you, you gain experience, you gain knowledge, and hopefully you're going to get paid to do the job. So have some money for beer on the weekends, right? So go for that internship. That's important. That's smart, but also have a job during school, because I think you can gain a lot from that.
Absolutely. And I know when we were speaking about this, the first thing that came to my mind, myself being a recruiter and doing career fairs all the time. And I am always speaking with students. And a lot of the time when I ask them about their experience, I can tell right off the bat that they tell me what they think I want to hear. Maybe it was, an internship that they had last semester. Maybe they didn't even really love their internship or find it valuable, but they think that's what they have to tell the recruiter. Where here at Alcu, since we do hire off character traits, I want to hear about your 5 years at the grocery store downtown. Don't be afraid, to talk about those experiences. I feel like I've talked with a few students who maybe have almost demeaned their experience and says, oh yeah, well, I did have a job. I worked at the gas station for 3 years during high school. That shows a lot about your work ethic, your consistency, your persistence, all of those things. So never underestimate how important, one of the roles that you've held is, because when I speak with students and they'll say, oh, it was just a market basket role. Don't do that. We want to hear about it. Own it. You've got it. You did it. It was your position. Own it and carry it forward and share the experience with people. Any questions so far on here? Have you ever had an experience that maybe you were afraid to share with an employer? If you do, feel free to throw it in the chat and we'll cover it there. But we wanted to touch on networking. So as we're thinking about all of these things and talking to employers, many of you probably have so many personal network or personal people in your own networks right now that you don't even know what they do. Does everyone here know exactly what their cousin does or what their company that their cousin works for is? I'll assume not, because I know I was victim of it. Now I make sure to always ask, and listen, which is important too as well. But ask questions, your friends, your family. Next time you're at a family gathering, which I know may not be happening for a little bit longer, but next time you are, ask around, like, hey, Uncle Bob, I know that you work at an office somewhere, but I never actually learned what you did. Ask around, because you truly never know who is who. They could be the most valuable connection that you ever make in your life, but you won't know until you ask them. So make sure you're asking questions, whether it's someone that you bump into, or, it's someone that's been in your life forever and you've just never asked. Make an initiative to ask more questions and really listen to them. Another tip that we have is to introduce yourself. Now, this is super important. And I know that when I was younger growing up, I had met someone who gave me some advice on this. And he said to me, always introduce yourself by first and last name confidently. And I was like, why? That sounds a little weird, Hi, I'm Haley Centrella. But he had a point, people remember. A a lot of us have common first names as well. So making sure that when you're introducing yourself or meeting someone that you're using your full name, and you're also making note of theirs is super important. Another point here, and I know Lauren can attest to this, but attend career fairs and networking events. Thank you guys for being on here today. That's a great step. But just making sure, you're taking advantage of those things. You are paying to go to school, and these are there for you. It's a resource that's there for you. And, you don't want to graduate and regret not using all those resources. Another little thing we added in on here is accountants don't hang out with accountants. So I know this speaks for itself, but you really don't know who is who. Someone in Andrew's network could be of so benefit to me. And that's something you'll never find out unless you, ask questions and reach out, expand your network. And that all starts with, getting online, getting out there, going to career fairs. So we just wanted to put that in here. And I see Lauren commented, definitely attend all of the events that we offer. Yes, and you have access to all of the alumni as well. She told me about that wonderful panel. I mean, who better to hear from than people who have been in your shoes before? So great job being here today, guys. You're ahead of the game. Trying to switch. All right. So has anyone here accepted a job for after graduation or looking for one? If you could just put it in the chat. Not yet. Okay. Cool, Georgia. Awesome. So still looking. So you guys aren't in that gray area yet, but there will come a time, I tell you, there will come a time when you accept a position and you have a start date. And you have a little bit of gray area in between, accepting and starting the job. If you're worried about that gray area, you're not alone. I remember that awkward period between when I accepted and when I started. And, I was so eager to get on the team. I wanted to add all of my teammates on Instagram and things of that nature, just because I was so excited. But of course, I couldn't do those things because you want to maintain a very professional outlook to the people that you're about to join teams for. So there are some things that you can do to get ahead before you even start. I think the most important tip here is if you accept a job offer, a formal job offer, you need to be committed, 110% on board. Don't be shopping around at other companies. It is a small world in terms of recruiting. So you're never going to want to accept an offer from a company where they're taking an opportunity away from another candidate and then be shopping around, at other companies or other positions. So just keep that in mind, be committed, be 110%, brag to your friends and family about it. And, be ready for that. Check in. I think this is important as well. Feel free to check in with your future employer. If you are waiting maybe a month or two until your start date, don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, Andrew, I know that I'm not starting for another few weeks here, but I just wanted to check in, see how you were doing, and maybe if there was anything that I could do in the meantime. Checking in is good. It shows them that you really care and that you're eager to start. So don't be afraid to check in. But of course, don't overly check in and be, I wouldn't say annoying, but just don't, you know the fine line there of not overstepping, but having a professional check-in. Urgency. This is extremely important. You've accepted a job, right? You're so excited. You're going and bragging to all your friends. Maybe you're even celebrating with a couple drinks and you're not sending back the things that they asked you to do. This is extremely important. If you have committed to a job, it's likely that they're going to be sending you some onboarding papers or things of that nature. So making sure that you are staying on top of it, that you're staying in touch with your email, checking to make sure that you're not missing anything is very important. And then last but not least, roll with the punches. This one speaks for itself, especially with the last year that we've had. But just to share with you guys on a personal level, I actually accepted my offer with Alku in person. I think it was like March 5th last year. I got to run around the office. We do a victory lap. Everyone cheers for you and you have your paper and you run around and it's so exciting. And I was supposed to start the 3rd week of March. which was the absolute shutdown of the world. So I wasn't able to start. They called me, they were very transparent, let me know that, hey, we don't know what recruiting looks like right at the moment, so we're gonna have to wait a few months until we get you on here. Totally okay with me. Roll with the punches. They're trying their best. They're keeping me in the loop. Companies were going through it when this first happened. So I just stepped back and said, hey, if I can be of help at all in this process, please let me know. But otherwise, I am here, I am ready, and I am 110% on board. So you let me know the date and I will be there. But just keeping that in mind, guys, because things can change and they're constantly changing. So maybe you were going to be remote and they ask you to come in person, or you were going to be in person and you might have to be remote. Roll with the punches. It shows the employers how adaptable you are. And that is a huge skill to have. A little laggy here. Apologies.
Enjoy the rest of your senior year too.
Oh yeah. Enjoy senior year because the transition is coming. You want to take lead here, Andrew?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, the first bullet, right? Expect your social schedule to change. It definitely will. I mean, one of the things that I was looking forward to actually getting into the corporate world and graduating was I had felt like between high school and college, my life was segmented into so many different things. Like I had my job, I had my classes, I had my sports, I had all these different things that I was doing. I didn't really feel like I could focus on one thing. So when I started at Alcu, I was really excited to just dig in and really pour all my energy into my job. So I didn't lose my friends, but I certainly had a lot of calls on a Friday. Hey, save a seat for me at the bar. I'm going to be a little bit late. I've got to make sure everything's squared away before I get out of here. So the social schedule definitely gets a little bit later into the night, and certainly is more pushed to Saturday, Sunday versus Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or for some of us in college, every day. So it definitely is a little bit different, but when you're working at a good company that you really enjoy and you like what you're doing, you'll be totally fine with that change. And in fact, the socialization that you do on the weekends or after work, to me anyways, became even more fun and more rewarding because I was really enjoying what I was doing at work. So it will change. In some ways, it will be better, and in some ways, it will just be less. So hopefully that's your expectations on the social schedule. But yeah,
it's an adjustment.
Yeah, we still have fun though. After school, you'll still have some fun, I promise.
Yeah, and you'll find that the structure of working a position brings so much change into your life, personally, professionally. I sleep so much better since I've started working at Alcu, which sounds a little bit crazy, but I'm on a sleep schedule now, which I had honestly never truly been on before. So that's just one of the little perks of that. Another big one, guys, for the transition, and I know we say this all the time, I heard it all the time, but it is so important, especially if you're on the job hunt and you accept a position. Clean up your online presence. People are Googling you. People are looking you up. It's pure curiosity. They're not looking for anything bad, but they're just looking. If I know that there's a person joining my team here, I want to know who they are. I'm excited. I'm excited to have them join the team. So, I get on there and I start looking at their online presence, making sure that you guys are starting to tone down Instagram a little and tune up LinkedIn. No, you can continue to tone up Instagram, but just making sure that if you are public, that you have things that are appropriate on there. I remember I did a presentation once with Tyler Bush, actually, Andrew, and he said to me, we're Googling you. I always Google people when I have an interview with them out of pure curiosity. And one of the students asked, what do you look for when you're Googling them? And Tyler Bush said, I look to see if they're happy people. And I was not expecting that answer. I was thinking maybe if they're drinking or something like that, but it really is that simple, guys. You know, employers aren't looking to hunt you down, but they do have curiosity about who you are, and what your brand is out there online. So just make sure that you're aware of that, and you don't have things that you wouldn't want your family seeing out in the public. Getting active on LinkedIn is very important as well. I know that this can be hard. We all get busy, but something that I did my senior year, I spent 20 minutes a week making sure that I was going through and dedicating time to LinkedIn, commenting on my friends' posts that they accepted jobs, doing those things. And I know Lauren just threw in here that if you need help making a LinkedIn, she will help you. So if you're feeling not so confident when I said the word LinkedIn, definitely reach out to Lauren. Get that taken care of now while you're still in school, and you have a resource that is so great to help, coach you through that, because it's hard. Something I was super self-conscious of was my LinkedIn. And I literally held myself back from making networks, like extending my reach, because I was embarrassed of my profile. So Josh, I see you said you don't have one yet. Now's the time. Even after this, you can sign up. It's super easy. Throw a photo on there if you want and just start liking stuff. But also just to keep in mind, guys, this is important. Your activity on LinkedIn is public. So making sure that you are liking things that you're okay with employers and people seeing. I do tell people, as you're going through the job hunt, you may want to stay away from some controversial things liking on LinkedIn there, because it will pop up on people's feeds. So just keep that in mind and stay true to your values. I think that this is almost the most important one on here. Don't change yourself for a position, guys. If you are changing yourself for a company or a job, it's probably not the best fit for you. You want a company that embraces you for who you are. So make sure that you're staying true to your values, and you are, using your voice when you can. But the transition will come. It's something that is scary because it's unknown, right? But with challenge comes growth. So I'm looking forward to hopefully connecting with some of you guys on LinkedIn. And Josh, I'll definitely be on the lookout, because I know Lauren will probably help you make one here, and seeing how you guys share your values that way. But I see George's comment. Thank you for mentioning. Yeah, everything is public. So that is something to just keep in mind. I know that there are, some things on LinkedIn that maybe aren't super professional. So just keep that at the top of your head when you're on there and you're scrolling through and liking things. Any other questions, even on LinkedIn? I'm happy to answer any LinkedIn questions. But I know that it was definitely something that held me back from making connections. And even if your LinkedIn is just the startup mode, don't be afraid to start making those connections, because continuing to build your network is so important, especially when you're in college. Any other questions here on LinkedIn? All right, we're going to start wrapping it up, but we have a few end slides here. So if my PowerPoint would load. If you guys don't believe how amazing Alku is from Andrew and I yet, we wanted to show you guys some of our awards. These are recognition from both internal and external. So our internal employees' satisfaction, as well as the clients and consultants that work for us. Alku is definitely a best place to work. So if you are interested in hearing more, don't be afraid to ask questions or reach out to me. And we work hard for these, so we're not afraid to show them off. And also, guys, I just wanted to throw up here our open positions. We're actively hiring. If you have any questions, my email is right on this slide here. Feel free to shoot me an email. I know that you have Lauren, which is an amazing resource, but if you ever wanted to meet with an employer to do a mock interview, have another set of eyes, look over your resume, I am more than happy to do so. So I'll stop sharing now and open it up if you guys do have any questions. I know we talked about a lot. So if you have any specific questions, even for Andrew and his super successful transition, now would be a great time to ask.
Andrew, I actually have a quick question for you. You had mentioned when you were talking about how you kind of rose through the ranks at Alcu, that mentors were a really big part of your success. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you can find a mentor in the workplace and what that looks like.
Yeah, it's a good question. And certainly there aren't people walking around the company like, oh, I'm a mentor, like come grab me whenever you have a question. One of the things that I think really helped me with that was I felt like, all right, I've been trained by my boss who has shown me and told me how to do my job, right? But there's others around who know how to do the job that I'm doing as well, who are having a lot of success. So I'm going to be more responsible for my own training than even my boss is for my training. So not only am I going to go to my boss and ask a lot of questions, and when I run into things, I'm going to reach out and ask for help and run situations by that person. I'm also going to go to some others and ask them questions and try to find time on their schedules to chat about certain situations that are coming up. And what you'll find is if you do that enough, people around the organization will notice that you care, right? You care, you're trying to get better, you're trying to improve. And those who are also engaged themselves with the company will say, I want to help this person. I want to work with this person because they care just like I do. So I think just being responsible for my own success and my own training really helped that. And like I said, nobody was, hey, I'll be your mentor, Andrew, right here. I had to reach out and really put in the effort to make that happen.
Absolutely.
That's great. Thank you so much.
We got a question here in the chat. So what kind of resources are there other than LinkedIn that are good for networking? Should you network with people who aren't in your field? Absolutely. That was the whole accountants don't just hang out with accountants. You never know who is who. And you always want to expand your reach. Excuse me, I was on a career fair today. You want to always expand your reach, and making more connections is only going to benefit you. You can't go wrong by making more connections. And you can even start through reaching out to Lauren, reaching out to me, add me on LinkedIn, say, hey, Haley, thank you so much for speaking tonight. If you know anyone that is in the field of English major, but wants to go into publishing, would you be willing to connect me with them? Absolutely. I'll try to think of some actually for you, Georgia, but no one comes to the top of my mind right away, but I might know someone who does, honestly. So that's where the whole networking piece comes in hand. But I think it's super important to just put yourself out there, ask questions. And like I said, maybe you don't think that person could be a beneficial network to you now, but they could be in 5 years. I think another point Andrew and I were discussing when we were preparing for this was you can't look at it as you're just in your position forever, right? Was that the way you said it, Andrew? It's having a little brain fart, but you don't want to just limit yourself to that. So making sure that you're expanding.
Yeah. And I think, Georgia, just, about getting it out, getting that word out to people that I think just when you're talking to your network or people that you're in contact with, just let them know what you're trying to do and where you want to go. And there's going to be plenty of people who aren't going to be able to help you, but all it takes is one person to say, oh, you know what, I actually know so and so, and let me hook you up and let me put you in touch. And I would just additionally say that never underestimate the power of a phone call. In this day and age of texting and emails and Slacks and LinkedIn messaging, like all that stuff is great and it has a purpose. A good old phone call goes a long way, and in some way, a way to set yourself apart. So,
and I think even going off of that, like Lauren commenting back in the chat, that is literally a prime example of networking. So even just asking that question, Georgia, you're off to a great start, and like I said, you don't know how many of your family and friends could know someone that's maybe in a publishing. And also I think even myself through LinkedIn, I was afraid to reach out to people, right? I don't know why. I didn't want to bother them or annoy them. But now that I'm in a recruitment position, it doesn't matter. What do you have to lose? If you reach out to them and say, hey, Andrew, my name is Haley. I'm really interested in staffing. Would you be willing to meet with me for 10 minutes just to chat about your position? If Andrew doesn't answer, shame on Andrew, shame on Andrew for not answering me. But it doesn't, you don't have to feel shame for reaching out for help, because I can guarantee you, if you look up the position that you want, your dream position, and you find 10 people on LinkedIn, they could be completely random, and you send 10 messages, I'm sure that at least one person will respond to you and say, if I can't help you, I can direct you to someone who can. So don't be afraid, guys, to really put yourself out there and network. It will come back and help you. You might not think it's the most beneficial thing in the moment, but that's part of networking, is building up those relationships. Of course, Georgia, I'm glad we could help. Thank you for engaging with us today. I'm definitely going to get both you and Josh some Alku swag so you can be branded all over campus. So just make sure that you guys were able to fill out that quick link at the beginning there. But if we have any other questions, I think we got another minute here. We're happy to stay on. Thanks, Josh, for coming.
Yeah, happy to share with everybody.
I was going to say, Haley and Andrew, thank you so much for your time and your expertise. I really appreciate the power of both of your stories. I think it makes it a little bit more real when we're talking about transitioning into a workplace and what it looks like as someone who's entering the world of work for the first time. So thank you both so much for your time this afternoon.
Yes,
I have a quick slide to show all of you real quick. So for those who are here or for those who are watching online later, tomorrow we do have another event for Senior Week. It's a panel of alumni who graduated and now are currently in graduate school. So if you're thinking about graduate school or you are going to graduate school, this is a really good resource for you all to take advantage of. If you could take the time, if you haven't already, fill out your senior survey. The QR code is listed right here, or you can email me directly and I can send you the link, because we want to know where you are going. So I really appreciate it. But if there's no other questions, we'll end it here. And yeah, thank you again so much for both of your time. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a good evening.
Yes, thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you for coming, Andrew. I appreciate it.
No problem.
This was great. It was so wonderful getting to hear your story too. Everyone have a good night and eat some good dinner.
Sounds good. Bye.